Oh, shoot. Here we go again. I can't see the top chat. Is anybody in there? Jeez. Can't see the top chat. Yeah, here we are. I got it. I got you now. All right. Now I can see it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live. I'm going. I'm gonna see how far I can go today. My voice isn't still 100%. I have no idea what the heck was wrong with it. Hey, Lauren, how you doing, buddy? I have no idea what was wrong with it. One, I funny thing is I took my car yesterday to get an oil change. Well, I don't know. My voice is not. It's still okay. I'm gonna see if I can go. It's better today. But Canes, yeah. Mike Hannigan, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for coming in. Uh yeah, I didn't even watch that game. It was over before it even got started. I didn't even watch it. I was leaning Canes too. I was just like, but Boston's playing so well. They're at home. I really kicked myself for not putting the Canes in on that one. I didn't do well yesterday. I didn't do bad pick for pick, but I mean we got lots to talk about those games yesterday. What the hell was going on? Dallas Stars season over. I'm telling you right now, they're not coming back from that loss. That's it. They're not coming back from that loss this season. That's a character. That's a season-defining loss against Montreal. They're not coming back from that. If you can't ruin Montreal in that spot, you are not going to make it. Sorry, you're just not going to make it. If you can't ruin Montreal in that spot, you are not going to make it. Holtby, I mean, that was Ottinger too, and then they put Holtby in too, right? So Audie didn't have a great game. I think they've got goaltending issues. They got a crap load of goaltenders, and none of them are good enough. Um, and now you've got, of course, the big problem with Klingberg there. I wondered about the only thing I was worried about that game was the fact that this Klingberg drama might be causing some problems there. And maybe it is, I don't know, but was Robertson out on that? Even then, I'm still taking that. There was no excuse. You can't lose that game. You just can't. That's about right. Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Nashville, Colorado, Vegas. Yeah, that's about right. Calgary. I mean, they spanked Florida last night. There was just a lot. Like Ottawa last night totally outplayed Buffalo, and this Hauser guy has an out of body experience and stops 43 of 44 shots. How do you predict that? Can't. You just can't predict that. That's there's those sometimes voodoo just happens, and Dallas losing to Montreal was kind of that. I'm off of Dallas now. Forget it. I I just I think that was a season defining game, and that whole game kind of defined their season. They have too many guys that are getting paid a lot that aren't producing. Sagan, Ben, you know, being without Robertson when you've got guys that are supposed to be your top guys like Ben and Sagan, and and you're not able to beat a Montreal team that might have a guy or two back, but they are absolutely porous overall as a team. Yeah, it's kind of a season defining game. I'm off of Dallas as any chance to make the playoffs after that. You want to put Minnesota? That's what I was saying before the season. I mean, they're well coached and they have a lot of they got Kaprizov and they got a good pieces, but their overall team just isn't good enough to be called a contender. I don't think. It's goaltending. Talbot is when he's good, he's good. When he's not, he's not. He's fairly inconsistent. Yeah, I agree. You got Cup futures on the Lightning, Canes. I would put another. I would drop a sprinkle on the Predators. You're probably getting really good odds. That team, you just never know what they can do. They are one. That is one hard-working bunch. The only thing about the Predators is I have a feeling they're going to be dead by the end of the season because it's just so hard to rely on. Like they're fighting. There's a fight in a Predators game every single game, pretty much, and we haven't seen that since the '80s. And like they battle after every whistle. Refs do not like refing Predators games right now. And the funny thing is they don't really take a lot of penalties on top of it. They usually bring somebody with them. But I mean, if you're going to play the Preds, you better be in good shape because they are going to take you to the limit. Well, it's the only way they're going to win, and it's fun to watch. It's. I mean, I'm rooting for them because everybody loves that kind of hockey. That is hockey. They play what hockey's supposed to be, really. And then you add skill on top of it. And it's not like they're playing some defensive system or trap or anything like that. They're not. They're playing a pretty darn good aggressive system to go with it too. So I really like what Nashville's doing. They just need some more skill in that lineup. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but if there was a team, at least to make the finals, I would put a sprinkle on Nashville to maybe make the finals because those kind of teams have a tendency to get sometimes make or through. You know, where you've got guys, some teams that, like, oh, well, we've seen with Toronto how many times that, you know, they don't have that in them yet, and they don't even make it past the first round, right? They've got the battle, and that's the first thing. Yeah, sure. I mean, they don't have a number one center, although you could make a case that they don't have a true number one center. Yeah, Johansson really isn't. By the way, I'm working on a Marc-Andre Fleury trade video right now. Where the heck is oh here we are. Yeah, and they're in the bottom of the league. They've got cap space too if they wanted to do something. I think they're going to sign Forsberg now. I really do. I think they're signing Forsberg all day. But they don't have, like Granlund is he really a true number one center? No. Ryan Johansson? No. He's having a good year for him, but he's not a true. So they don't have a true number one center. Matt Duchene has been a number one right winger this year, that's for sure. They got a number one in Forsberg. But besides that, it's been like a by committee type team that has been working. And of course, they got Roman Josi. And Juicy Saros has been amazing. But yeah, like on paper, that's not a team that looks like they could ever win a cup. That's for sure. You got me there. But I don't know. Maybe I would go like just to make the finals because those kind of teams can sneak in every once in a while, and you're probably getting, I don't know, what's the odds on Nashville? You're probably getting some pretty sweet odds on it. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, we were talking about that before the season. Then Nashville should probably tank this year, but they're not. And you know, what do you do now? They're going to sign Forsberg. They're going to let their cap space grow and just probably keep on adding to this team. That's what it seems like they're doing. Yeah, that's. I just heard that actually, Lauren, before we started this. Carey Price to the Sharks and Mark Edward Vlasic as part of the deal to make the money work. And then, of course, San Jose must be, it would have to be one of their goaltenders, Reimer or Hill. Marc-Edouard Vlasic to make the money work. This sounds like pie in the sky stuff to me. How many years and then they'd have to give like a big prospect or a pick on that. Because Montreal, the reason why they're saying Marc-Edouard Vlasic is because he's French Canadian, really. That's it. Why else would you want that contract? It's horrible. Like, you would have to get, they would have to give up a big prospect in order for that to happen. Because Montreal's doing them a huge favor. Now, that being said, Carey Price, nobody knows what he's going to be in his career after this. So San Jose would be kind of rolling the dice that he's going to be okay after all of this surgery and stuff like that. So it sounds fishy to me. The rumor sounds fishy to me because there's just too many question marks to make a deal like that on every side. Every side. I just did a video about Thomas Hertl going to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Funny you mentioned that. Did you watch that video, John Weichel? Yeah. To me, Thomas Hertl to the Pittsburgh Penguins makes sense, and they can actually, believe it or not, if you look at their next year, they got a whole lot of players coming off the books. They might even be able to re-sign them. So, however, Hextall and the gang has been pretty adamant that they're not trading a first-round pick and all that kind of stuff like that. I don't know. I'm really, you're not going to, so you're just going to keep the team as it is, keep your first-round picks, and hope they can be there soon enough to be able to help this team win a cup. You know, sign Letang. You got Malkin coming up. You're going to re-sign Malkin for a lesser term. Add another player because, you know, maybe Malkin gets a little less money. And you're not going to give up your first-round pick when you could get a Hertl who is not old. He's 28 years old. They would have to give up their first-round pick for Hertl, though. I'm pretty sure. Especially if they're going to re-sign him. If they're going to sign him right away. Nick Ritchie, really, I don't know why he was in the lineup ever to begin with. But yeah, let's see what that came from. I think I saw it pop up that Lego Rocks or whatever his name is, Lego something like that. He's the one that I saw, but let me see if I can pull it up somewhere here. Price to the Sharks. See if I can find where he got that information from, because he usually has some pretty good insider sources to back himself up. Oh, the Hockey Writers. No, I don't see where he got that from. Well, like, he usually has some pretty good sources. Did you hear where the source is? Lego, yeah, Lego Rock. He usually has some pretty good sources there. Did you guys watch it? What source did he have for that? Because I don't see any source for what he was saying. But I'm sure he had a really good source, because he usually always does. But I just, it doesn't seem, it seems flimsy to me that would happen. The interesting thing about that would be that, and now, like, why now? How can, you're not going to make it, you're not going to do it now. You can't do it now. He's basically starting his rehab all over again now. So I can't see it at all. I can't see it. It maybe somewhere down the road. Yeah, I mean, he does all different type of stuff. I think he's a Habs fan. He does a lot of Habs stuff. But I mean, he does rumors in all different areas, and like I said, he does a lot of. He obviously researches quite a bit as well, because he usually has a couple sources that he goes with. It's a lot of work. You know those trade videos that I do and stuff like that? I'm lazy about it. Like, he works hard, that guy. I don't like doing that. So he works hard. Like, he really digs through all the sources he can find, and then he does you know, the good thing about him is he was smart. He did the video game shot, so he doesn't really have to do all that much editing and stuff. But he and I wonder how many times he has to do a take, because he really does flow really well with his with what he's talking about. So I know me personally, I do one take. That's it. I don't edit anything. I do a take, and whatever it sounds like is what it sounds like, and I throw it out there, and that's it. If he only does one take, I'll tell you what, that's pretty freaking impressive, because he does really good at doing those videos. If I wasn't doing what I do on every day, I would probably watch a lot more Lego Rock stuff. You hear Brendan Gallagher? Yeah, I did. Brendan Gallagher traded to a couple teams there. My lean is, unless Gallagher wants out, he probably stays. The Molson people are, they've got a product, and they got a product that's attached to their organization, and Gallagher is sort of what Montreal Canadiens is about. It's like he's like an identity. And the Molsons are all about identity. They're all about identity. Beer companies, one beer pretty much tastes the same as the other for the most cases. They sell their product through identity. And a guy like Gallagher is an identity. And unless Gallagher actually says, I don't want to go through this rebuild, I want out of here, I don't see it happening. I also don't see a tear down rebuild in Montreal. I think they're going to trade a couple guys, get some draft picks. What's his name? Bergevin did give them a large stock of draft picks to work off of on his way out. And they're going to get a couple draft picks, and I don't think it's going to be... They're taking Gorton because, like the Rangers did. The Rangers wanted a quick rebuild, and let's face it, that rebuild was pretty quick. 3-4 years, and they're already now in a playoff position. That was really impressive, and I think they want the same sort of thing. No more than 3-4 years. I would definitely settle with Varlamov in Edmonton. I'm just not sure Varlamov would be as good in Edmonton as he is with the Islanders with their system. It would be worth a shot, I guess. I guess. But you got to remember, when he was in Colorado, he didn't do very well. That's the reason why he's not in Colorado. It was a huge surprise to me, and I think pretty much the whole hockey world. when Lamoriello gave Varlamov $5 million per year. I mean, it was a huge surprise. So his real best years have been there. Hey, Race Fans Rock. Hey, thanks for coming in. Hello, a little Pearlo dance for you. I think you might be the first time I've heard you on here. Tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, I'll get to that in quick. Should they give Merity and Griffith another shot in the NHL? Yeah, Dangle's good. I love Dangle too. Brendan Gallagher on the trade block, though. I think they're going to hold on to him. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. For several reasons. I think a lot of teams out there are, as much as they would like to have Gallagher, I think a lot of people in the back of their minds are like, how is this guy going to hold up over the long term here? He has been a warrior, and he's one of those guys where you could see the decline happening. And I just think Montreal will use him as a kind of like an avatar for the young players coming up to say, just be like him. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. But I want to answer this one, Race Fan Rocks, because it's the first time I think I've seen you in here, bro. And everybody give him a big, lots of ups for Race Fan Rocks. Should the Oilers give Merity and Griffith another shot? I mean, it's maybe because you at this point that young energy might be good. Like Griffith isn't that young, but getting when guys get an opportunity, they bring an energy that this team I think needs. They need some happiness, some joy, something to be happy about. And if you bring Merity and Griffith up, they're coming into an environment that's tough, but they're going to be so happy to be there. And I think for that reason, yeah. But honestly, Merity really never did learn how to skate very well. And Griffith has got a lot of skill, but he gets overmatched physically a lot. So they probably won't play all that much when they're up. I liked Merity and Benson a little bit because they played down there. I think and I wish they would play Benson more. I wish he would play Benson more. But I mean, that's like a short-term energy spurt type thing. Griffith really hasn't been able to produce for quite a long time in the NHL. And over and over again, he hasn't showed that he's able to take the physical rigors of the NHL. Perfect for the AHL. Makes a pretty good dollar down there. He's made a pretty good living for himself in the AHL. And but for the short term, why not? Give him a shot up there. Give him a shot in the sense that, just to have people happy to be here. We just saw what happened with Matheson and Draisaitl. Matheson, did you guys know about what happened with Matheson? I know I'm an Oiler. I'm in Edmonton. I'm in Edmonton, so I hear about this. I don't know if it was as big all around the hockey world. Probably not in the United States as it was here. But did you see what he said to Draisaitl in the press conference there yesterday? I believe it was. He was basically trying to trap Draisaitl. He was basically trying to trap Draisaitl into saying that he's not happy being an Edmonton Oiler right now. And he was, really pushing his buttons to throw his team under the bus, whatever the case may be. And a reporter has a right to do that. That's fine. And if you do that, and basically Draisaitl blew him off and left and walked, and said something to the effect, "You know everything, so you know the answer to that." To Matheson, You know everything, so you know the answer to that. Basically, Draisaitl saying that well, you're what you are intimating, you already believe, so that's it. And it could be right or it could be wrong. Watch, yeah. Anyways, he could be right, he could be wrong about whatever he's saying with Matheson. But Matheson afterwards says, "Why are you so pissy?" to Draisaitl. And apparently all of this is him trying to ask why he's so upset. So is it because the team is losing and he's just pissed and he's a competitive guy and he's not happy with a lot of things? Yeah. Yeah. Does the reporter have a right to bring that up and push the buttons like that? Yeah, I got no problems all the way up until that point. No problems. It's the afterwards, Matheson is putting stuff out there like he's offended by what Draisaitl said. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You're a reporter and you're pushing buttons, which I don't blame you for. That's fine. You can do whatever you want there. But get offended about it afterwards because Draisaitl pushed back and said something to you or whatever the case may be. Stupid. To me, it is anyways. And here's the other thing about Matheson as a reporter. This is a guy that strokes management every freaking turn. He thought the Larson trade was good. Keith getting picked up was a good move. All of this nonsense that were obviously just garbage moves, all of them. They were garbage to start off with. Now, there might be some back in behind the scenes reasons why these things happen and maybe makes up for it a little bit, but the fact is the move was garbage. The Keith pickup was disgraceful. Don't pick anybody up if you're not going to do that. Take the heat that you didn't do anything this season instead of doing something like that. It's a terrible, terrible move. And Matheson backs and backs and backs and backs management, but then gets this guy out, as reporters do. He calls this guy out in a tough spot, in an awkward moment like that, and then gets offended about it afterwards. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, Fogel's okay, but I mean, I would rather take Bear over Keith all day long, but Bear had to go. See, there's the thing. Bear had to go. Bear wanted to go. He was offended by stuff or something. I don't know. He had to go. Was there a better return for Fogel? Maybe not. Maybe in that one, I'm going to give them a mulligan because I'm going to give him a mulligan on that one because he had to go, and I don't know what else was out there besides Fogel. So, you know, everybody knew that Bear wanted out of Edmonton. They didn't have much leverage. I'm not really totally against that trade. I don't like the fact that they had to lose Bear. I don't, but I definitely don't like what they did to fill the spot of Bear. That was rather do nothing. Keep Jones. I heard that John Klingberg did the Tampa Bay Lightning. I just did a video on it. Tampa is in there. It would be a difficult trade, super difficult trade. I don't think that's the most likely place he would go. Oh, the Kent Hughes interview. Okay. See, there's so much interesting stuff coming on. I love you guys coming on here and bringing this stuff up. I think he's a 5'6". He may not have been as good as I thought he was, but he's about a 5'6", somewhere around there. Fogel wasn't bad. It was the price. Yeah. Like in that way, I'm going to give him a little bit of a mulligan because of that. They're doing a Kent Hughes interview. I didn't even talk about the Kent Hughes thing because I don't know how long I'm going to be going on today. See how long my voice holds on, but the Red Wings claimed Gemmell Smith. Yeah, and they already have Giovanni Smith, so basically they have the brothers now. Tough two brothers there. Good pickup for them. brings a lot of camaraderie in the room, and they're tough guys to play against. I don't know, they're kind of be in and out of the NHL, so. But I didn't get to talk about the Kent Hughes pickup. I think this was a great move by Gordon, who, of course, is not the general manager. He just does all the things that a general manager does. That's it. But he's not the general manager. Don't say he's the general manager. But hiring an agent to take care of the financial matters and cap and players' salaries in a market where there's a high tax market like that, to me, was an excellent move. He can deal with the agents. He can deal with all the agents. Gordon just did a beautiful. Gordon is brilliant. He goes to Montreal. He gets given a title that isn't general manager, so he doesn't have to talk to the media. This guy does, and if you heard him talk, he's a fantastic speaker, great charisma, excellent salesperson, all of those sort of things like that. I think it's a fantastic pickup for them, but I don't think for a second he's the general manager of this club, not even a little bit. But he can speak the language, which is important in Montreal, and he's got great charisma, and he can deal with the contracts. So Gordon's got a beautiful gig. He gets to do all the fun stuff of a general manager, and he doesn't have to deal with the contracts and all of that stuff. Yeah, of course he's the general manager. Gordon is definitely the general manager, no doubt about that. You keep on saying that they want Luke Shen. I don't know what the hell they would want with Luke Shen. Yeah, Gordon is a general manager. That guy's a PR guy. And good for him, man. An agent. I mean, they must be paying him handsomely. He's an agent. Agents get paid a lot of freaking money, man. Agents make a lot of money. I would like to know what the Molsons are ponying over for that guy. I've been drinking ginger, honey, and lemon. Oh, man, over and over again. Jay Woodcroft? Maybe. I don't know. It's the Edmonton Oilers. When are they going to get their head out of the ass? They could have had Zito or Holland. My head blew when I found out that they chose Holland over Zito. I was just like, what are you doing? Like, they're trying to get rid of the old guys club and all this stuff like that. And you bring in Kenny freaking Holland, a guy who, if you look at his career, is probably been the most overrated general manager of all time. Kenny Holland didn't draft those players in Detroit. They have a great drafting team. Yeah, I mean, if he's been amazing out there as their head coach, young voice, he knows the guys, I'm all for it, dude. I'm all for it, absolutely. I know Peyton on the radio. We do live stuff together. He's also part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. He's a big fan of him, and I've got a lot of respect for his judgment in hockey. Yeah, go over to Peyton on the radio is his name. Sub up to Peyton on the radio. He's mad respect. Young guy, but that guy knows so much about the game. I love listening to him. He's very analytics based. And because I like analytics too, I'm just too lazy to actually do them or anything. So I love having guys like that around. Yeah, he was handed a team and he's butchering the team. Well, sort of handed it. I mean, they were doing bad things before Ken Holland got there. They haven't been able to find anybody. that I let's put it, it's a very uphill battle to be a general manager in Edmonton. First of all, I've said that a million times. It is scouting, yeah. I don't get to watch anywhere near enough of scouting that I want to. I really love that channel. Go check him out too. He's fantastic. Um, but it's tough to be a general manager. There's no doubt about it. It is like pulling teeth trying to get people to go to the Edmonton Oilers. And even with McDavid on there, it's not easy. And I can't remember who the general manager was. I always forget his name, but he always got crap for not doing anything in Edmonton. He never went out and got free agents and never did all that. Because the truth be told, the people that by the time people want to come to Edmonton, those are guys you don't want anymore. It's like they're like, well, I'll try Edmonton. Seriously. The city is not sexy. Like, it's not a place where millionaire wives are gonna go. Like, you try to woo their family into Edmonton, and they're gonna land and go, yeah, this isn't what we're doing here. No. No. I didn't marry $1 million hockey player to hang out in here. Like, it's tough. I think Ducks are going to stick with what they got there as their general manager. I like what they have. I like what they have. I think they like what they have is a better way of putting it. Edmonton has some tall buildings, I guess. They have some tall buildings. Is that what you mean? They have some tall buildings? Yeah, you need both. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I like about Peyton. He's very analytics driven, but I get, and then I'm more eye test driven, and there are some things that analytics can't catch, but I have to admit my eye test is way better because of analytics. I look at things a lot differently now since I was introduced to analytics than I did before. But there are some things that analytics just aren't going to catch. Like Barclay Goodrow is a good example. Analytics aren't going to catch that. Barclay Goodrow, guys like that, they make other people's analytics better because they wear out the opposition for the higher line guys that get better analytics because the team that they're playing against is more tired and they can control possession more. And that's the part of analytics that can't be monitored. Like you can't put a value or a number on how a player wears out the other team. You see, so that's the biggest thing. Size. Washington Capitals are a very good example of that. They have some really good analytics players there, but their team is big. And they got some bad analytic players, but they're big. And when you go in the defensive end, or when you play in the offensive zone with Washington or in your defensive end, they beat the living crap out of you. And by the end of the game, their possession is high. And that's because they're big, they're fast. Yeah. They might give up possession more often than some other teams. Their possession numbers might not look as good in the early part of the game, especially. So if you look at the overall analytics, you're like, well, how come they? But when you look at it over time, and especially in the third period, they have a tendency to beat them down. In a 7-game series, the Washington Capitals analytics will look really good the more that goes along. Tampa's fast and small, yeah, but their defense is big and punishing. Punishing is the word. You would think that Edmonton would grab more Russian players, yes. You would think so, because they have the same climate. But the thing is, though, I think the Russian players, they want something different than the climate they had in Russia. Winnipeg has the same problem, by the way. Winnipeg has the exact same problem. But they do manage. The thing about Winnipeg, though, is, and here's the other thing. The thing about Winnipeg is it's close to Toronto. It's closer to Toronto. So they'll get some more guys that'll go there because most Canadian NHL players are from Ontario, right? So they'll go there because it's a hop, skip, and a jump to home. Edmonton is much further away from Toronto. They got Duncan Keith mostly because he wanted to be closer to Vancouver, which is still 12 hours away. But there was only Vancouver could have had him. They didn't want him. And that's saying a lot because we're talking about Benning here. But of course, they didn't have any cap space anyways. Calgary could have had him. They had the cap space. They didn't want him. They didn't want him at all. They weren't offering anything. So Edmonton really was the only place he could go to, besides maybe Seattle. And Seattle doesn't. Why would Seattle want him? Certainly not giving a pick and a prospect for him. So he only had one place he could go. Oh, I don't know either. It's a cold magnet. He only had one place he could go or stay in Chicago. So Chicago would have to tell Duncan Keith, a guy who has given them everything he's got, won cups with them, spent his whole career, and he's simply asking Chicago to trade him somewhere where he's closer to his daughter. Because during COVID, he realized the value of being close to his daughter, who I think he's divorced, but who lives in Vancouver or BC area. And they're going to say, no, Edmonton won't give us the prospect on top of the third or something like that, so you're going to have to stay here? You think that? Honestly? You think that Holland couldn't figure out that he had all the leverage here and he could have simply said, I'll give you a fifth, and they say, no, we're just going to keep him in Chicago, and you just go, okay, fine, keep him then. You had that argument with Duncan Keith that because, we're not going to give you a fifth, we don't need Duncan Keith. I'd love for him to see his daughter, but it's not my responsibility for that. Stupid. It's the most ridiculous thing it might be one of the worst trades I have ever seen in my life. It was horrible. And when they asked Kenny Holland about the trade, the terrible analytics in Chicago, where every player he played with was worse with him than without him, he said, well, I don't think this was really an analytics trade. This was more about his leadership and all of these intangible blah, 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 blahs. So you didn't even get him for what he does on the ice. You got him for, and I don't think it's not important to have somebody there like that in a young team. Don't get me wrong. But a third and a prospect? Give me a freaking break. But Winnipeg is cold because just where it's situated, it's got every bad thing you could possibly imagine. It's where it is on latitude and longitude. It's flat, so wind is blowing there constantly all the time. It's called Windy Peg, Winter Peg. Manitoba is a wasteland. My parents live in Manitoba, okay? And it's a 14-hour drive from here to Manitoba, and there is literally nothing to see. And I am not making that up at all. In fact, if I tell you that there's nothing to see, and you say to me, "Oh, come on, you got to be over exaggerating," and then you make the trip, you'll call me when you get to where you're going and say, "You didn't warn me enough." There is nothing to see from Edmonton to Manitoba. So it is flat, windy, cold, everything. Why when players sign there, I wonder why they're doing what they're doing. Like, I can only imagine that, like I said, it's closer to Ontario, so there's family reasons. But besides that, I wouldn't move there. If I was an NHL hockey player and I live in Edmonton, in all honesty, it would be one of the last places I would sign in. I like cafes and stuff like that, and I plan on. And there's a lot of great things about living here, right? As being a person that's not a multi-millionaire, Edmonton's a great place. It's safe. There's a lot of great parks here. Jobs are everywhere. You can make a lot of money. But if you've already got a lot of money, there's no reason to be here. There's none. Virtually none, except for it's safe. You can find another safe place to live, I imagine, somewhere. Possibly Subban getting traded. Maybe. I don't know who's going to take him. They're going to have to cover. Yeah, I mean, if that would be the big reason why, and Zach Hyman came here, who lives in Toronto. He got overpaid. Okay, I love Zach Hyman, but he got overpaid. He wasn't an $8 million a year player. Is that how much he got paid? Just wait. Got to make sure it was right. They got to overpay to bring him. Why do it was 8 million, wasn't it? Oh no, it was 5.5 million. Is that all he got was 5? Why did I think it was 8 million? It was 8 years, 5.5 million. Okay, no, he didn't get overpaid actually. That was a good deal. He maybe got more years than he would have got somewhere else. Sorry. But I was actually kind of surprised that he did sign in Edmonton, Hyman. But in that sense, he said he wanted to be able to play with the greatest player in the world. And I think he wanted to stay in Canada too, which is understandable. So those two things just worked out for them there. I don't know where you're getting the idea that that Toronto wants PK Subban. I think Jack Campbell's going to take 6. Maybe 6.5 to stay in Toronto. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's enough talking about Edmonton and the problems they have with getting players. But that was just basically, yeah. I mean, I got to give general managers that are from Edmonton, that are general managers in Edmonton, throw anyone a bone there, because it is difficult. I think the only way, I think in one way Holland is correct. The best way is to draft and develop there in Edmonton, and you can pick guys that you know that they want to be in Edmonton. That's a great thing about the draft. And that's why you'll see Edmonton pass over people and go, like, they weren't in on Barzal. It wasn't their guy, they like to say, because there's a very good chance Barzal told his agent, I don't want to go there. Not just because it's Edmonton, but because they already have McDavid. Where how is he going to be a number one in Edmonton? He's going to end up getting number two money. Like, all of these are factors that. All of these are factors. So, in that way, I think the best way to do it is draft and develop, for in Edmonton, and that's why he doesn't want to give up his first round pick. So I guess I'm defending Holland all the way here. I don't know, but I won't defend the fact that he picked up Duncan Keith. That I won't defend. That was bad. That was terrible. All right, what else did we have happen last night? Oh yeah, Calgary, Florida. Wow. Do we got to start worrying about Spencer Knight now? The kid's having a tough time, and this is a thing about. It doesn't really seem to matter how good a goaltender is, how prodigy they are, except for like a select few in the history of the NHL. Playing them too young just seems to kill them, man. And I mean, it's still early, but I get a little worried here. His last couple outings have not been great. And last night he wasn't great. And Florida wasn't ready for that game. And Calgary, obviously, when they lost to Ottawa, it was, Sutter, for sure, bag skated the crap out of them. By the way, everybody touched the like button, eh? Yeah, he's so young. I really think that it's time that Florida maybe brings in a guy that can be a backup to Bobrovsky and just let Spencer Knight go down in the minors for a while. Just chill out for a bit, man. Take the pressure off of him. It's not easy, man. Carter Hart, I think, is one of the best young goaltenders we've seen for a very long time. He struggled. This year he hasn't been bad. But tap that like button, guys. We got 6 guys in here. Let's get some more guys in here. I want to have lots of people in this chat. It's more fun that way. So it takes a long time to develop goalies, yeah. Even like guys like Swayman. Swayman's had his ups and downs in Boston here. Spencer Knight. I mean, obviously they're talented as hell. Obviously that this is the young pool of goaltenders for the future, but you know what? You can ruin them. And that was what Hextall was saying in Philadelphia when everybody was saying, bring up the kid and let him play and all that kind of stuff like that. And I was too, to tell you the honest truth. He's just so good. But in hindsight, I think Hextall had really the right idea there. Just, error on the side of caution when it comes to playing goaltenders too early. Yeah, there's been talks of the Panthers. I imagine the Panthers are looking for a right defenseman. What about that game last night? But anyways, I wanted to finish what I was saying about that game. So Calgary came out. They lost bad to Florida the last time they played too. And I really kicked myself that I put so much on that game. Like I put more on that game than I should have. But Calgary had a total rebound game. Panthers came back in the second, I believe in the second and third period. Where is that? Yeah. How come they don't have the shots per period here? I thought they did. But anyways, they came back in the second, third period and looked better. But it just, Spencer Knight wasn't there. They didn't start well either. So that's part of it as well. Blake Coleman got a goal, they really were looking for something out of him. They need more out of him for the amount of money he's making right now. And that whole second line in general, too. So they got some depth scoring. Sean Monahan got 2 goals. Maybe that wrist is finally starting to come together for him. It looks like they were playing him with on the power play with Gaudreau and Tkachuk. But Calgary made amends for that big loss. And we'll see what Calgary does after this. That was a big win for them. They really needed to make a statement there, and they did. I'm still not sure that it's going to hold. Just the roster. They got a good game, pretty good game out of Markstrom, which is kind of the first good game he's had since the All-Star break. Since the break. So. John Klingberg has been talked about to the Panthers, yeah. I don't know what the return would be on something like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true, yeah. Goalies are, I mean, it's such a mental sport. And a lot of the young goaltenders, too, they were able to rely a lot on their skill level, and they really didn't focus on the mental part of the game quite as much. And then once you get into the NHL, it's like a whole new level, man. It's faster, the shots are harder, you got rebound control is way more important than it ever was. I mean, the jump is just like enormous. And the fact that guys like Spencer Knight and Swayman and Carter Hart can even do it to begin with is like even get away with that at all is absolutely phenomenal. But it's just not something that, and I think Boston realizes that too. The Panthers didn't play. The Panthers were not on a back-to-back. I don't believe. If they were and I didn't notice that, I'm about to get very angry with myself. No, they were not a back-to-back. They did, however, have a long flight to Calgary. And that was something that I really had to, I did hum and haw about. Because they flew from Florida. Oh, no, wait. I gotta look it up here. They flew from Florida. I'm just looking up which day that was. They flew from Florida the 2 days before that, which is a fair trek. But honestly, shouldn't have been too bad. But it's not like Arizona tonight is going to have a tough one because they flew from Arizona to New Jersey and had 1 day off and then got to play. They had 2 days off, which should have reset them a bit. I wouldn't put Nedeljkovic in that group. Demko, yes. I think Demko might be the best of the bunch. Shesterkin. I would put Shesterkin in there. Nedeljkovic, Nedeljkovic, he played when he was a little older. He didn't play right out of Shesterkin, Demko, Knight, Swayman, Hart. And Demko, I think Shesterkin and Demko are like neck and neck. I would give the edge to Shesterkin, then Demko, and then Hart's a little older, but Knight, Swayman, and Hart are kind of in the same lump. What about the Blues, Mike Henkin? Yeah. Remember Panthers will blow out their opponents like I don't know, honestly, Doug. I think every team, like, look at Carolina, just got blown out against Columbus. About the only thing you could say about that Carolina game was they were without Slavin. Is that much of a big deal? Better not be, you know. I know Slavin is absolutely insane defenseman, but sometimes you just don't got it. And you don't even know why. You just don't have it. And they just didn't have it last night. Played bled on the. Panthers played on the 17th. How am I missing this? Today is what? What? They played on the 17th. Who did they play on the 17th? Were they on a back-to-back and I didn't notice? If they were on a back-to-back and I didn't notice, you're going to ruin my day. What? Oh, let me see this again. I got it here. No, they didn't. They didn't play on the 17th. Or did they? Because it doesn't show that they did here. What am I missing? Did they have a filler game on the 17th and I didn't notice it? Is that what it was? Because I'm looking at daily face-off and it shows that they didn't play on the 17th. They didn't play on the 17th. Predators, Flyers, Islanders, Blue Jackets. Okay, good. I'm not going crazy. They played on the 16th. Oh, so you know what? They played on the 16th. They flew on the 17th. 17th, 16th. No, they didn't play. They played on the 15th. They played the Bruins. No, who did they play? They played the Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets 15th, 16th was only the Canucks and Capitals. They had 2 days off. I'm not going crazy. Make sure you tap that like button, guys. Tap, 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 tap. You only got 2 likes. Unless it's maybe not showing up on my thing. Everybody has a bad game sometimes, You can't predict that. Those 2 really hurt me last night, big time. Anyways, what else did we talk? Games last night. The Islanders and Flyers. That was like a really boring game to watch. The Islanders did pull it out. Philadelphia sucks. We all know it. It's a terrible game to watch, so I'm not going to talk much about that. The Capitals Jets was really good. Really good, though. That was a fun game to watch. I had the Jets on that game. I thought they could pull it out, but the Washington's hard to beat at home, especially 2 in a row. Like, Washington is a weird team. It makes you seem like they're gonna fall, and then they're back again. And I think that's the Laviolette effect. Like, they're just, and they can't play Samsonov anymore. Samsonov just isn't there. He's just not the guy there. Yeah, the 15th was the last time they played. That's I people that were trying to say play Skinner. I'm like, dude's not there yet. He's a backup goaltender at best when he's ready. He's not ready. He's not a good enough goaltender to be in the NHL. But anyways, back to Washington. Samsonov is, I don't know what they're going to do. They got to get a goaltender stat. I'm going to be doing a Fleury trade, and Capitals just might be part of that video. They just might be part of that video. So, yeah, Washington Capitals are set, but they need a goaltender. That's all I got to say about that. I'm going to try to bang through these quite a bit here all the way through. The Jets need scoring. Of course, they got a lot of guys out right now. But they need their guys back. They need everybody in that lineup. Wheeler, everybody in that lineup, because Perfetti is not ready yet, and they've got to play him right now. He got his first NHL goal last night, but he's not really ready yet. And Kyle Connor got his 21st, but they couldn't keep. Remember I was saying about the Washington Capitals? They beat you down with their size. And Ovechkin scored his 27th. Alexei Prodas. There's a good example. Look at this Prodas guy. He's huge. He's skating. He's a killer skater, but he has no hands really at all. He just can skate and get into the spots and beat you down. And that's what he does. And he beat them down last night. He was like, with this Washington team, you got to play almost like Minnesota does. And you got to pass them around a lot. You got to get into the offensive zone, pass quickly, and don't let them touch you. Because if you let them touch you too much, they're going to wear you down in over a game. But they really need goaltending, though. I don't think Vanacek's going to bring him to the promised land. And Samsonov ain't the guy. I've been saying that for a little bit now, and I still think that. Pavelski might get traded. I don't know. It all depends on where Dallas is at the deadline. I personally think after that loss against Montreal that they're not going to make it. So, yeah, maybe. Maybe. It's hard to do that to a guy like Joe P, though. It's really going to be up to him. You got to really be. I think teams have to be really careful with how they treat veteran guys like that, because they got to give contracts to young players as they go along, and young players are watching how you treat these veterans, and if you don't treat them well, they're going to be like, do I really want to sign here though? Like, really? Like, after what they did to Joe P, or like other teams have did some things like that. One team that seems to get away with it no problems is St. Louis, though. Look what they did. They let Peter Angelo go. They traded Shattenkirk like when they were in the middle of a playoff race. That team is weird that way. They seem to have no problems. Just, sorry, buddy, not paying you. Hey, Bill, how you doing, man? Good. We were talking about the games last night. Talking about the Washington game. Killer win for Washington. Put it away in overtime. Tom Wilson put it away early. There's another one. Tom Wilson. Huge team. Huge team. Just need goaltending. Canucks big win. I had the Canucks to win this game last night. Just there was a good example. We were talking about Nashville and how they're gonna wear down. Uh, like they had played a lot up into this game. That's the reason why I took Vancouver. And I think Elias Pettersson is going to have a better second half, killer second half. And so far, he's had 3 goals in the last 2 games. Brock Besser potted 1. And they're playing sort of the same way Nashville is, and that's the way they have to. They're playing a grinding, tough game. And of course, Demko ruled the roost last night. Predators did outshoot them 32-24, but Demko is just a beast. Beast. I got a bit of a throat thing going on, Bill, still, but I'm trying to grind her through here. I might cut out a little early because I want to make sure I can do a show tomorrow. Allmark confirmed for Friday's game. Yeah. It's too bad. It wasn't even Rath's fault. I mean, Boston just wasn't there. And Carolina was smart. I mean, to beat Boston, you got to get on them right away. And they did. They just swarmed them right away. Just, we are not taking your bull crap right away. Because Boston will do that. They are a machismo type team. They come in arrogant, like Marchand is their identity. And they come in and say, you know, like, we own you right away. They tried to take that right away. And Carolina came in and said, yeah, all right, let's see about that. And took them out, man. That Carolina team, gotta freaking love them. Brindy has got that team just, they play exactly the way they need to on most games. Amazing. Besides the Columbus game, obviously. I think maybe Brindy said, yeah, you remember what Columbus did to us? We're going to do that against Boston. Evander Kane, no. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know what's going to happen with Evander Kane. First of all, they got to find out all the breach and whatever's going on with all that stuff first before Evander Kane's going to go anywhere. I don't know. He's got himself in a tough spot there. I'm not even sure how much, you know, the league's on his side right now to even be in the league. So there's a lot of hoops to go through there before. Predators. Oh, okay. What about the Predators? Sorry, it was the Predators. I got to go see where you said that, but Predators played on the 17th. Yeah, okay. Yeah. There was lots of games last night. But big win by Vancouver. Awesome win for them. Once they get some defense there, things might start getting better for them. But I mean, Rutherford has already basically come out and said they need better defense. They're gonna get some draft picks this year, and you're gonna see some guys moved out. Canadians versus the Stars. We already talked about that a lot. That team is in trouble. Dallas had to have that game. Simple as that. And Lightning versus Kings. I went to bed. I didn't watch this game. From what I understand, they played 4 defensemen pretty much all night, though. Yeah, they played 4 defensemen. Sergachev, Hedman, Foote, and McDonough all played 30 minutes apiece. That is freaking crazy. And they played their forwards they played. Why did they do this, by the way? Did they play an extra forward or what? Are they on a back-to-back? Maybe. Oh, you know what? Could this be like a really brilliant move here that they did? Are they on a back-to-back? What's going on? How come they don't have January 17th? Okay, here. Okay, what's going on? So was that a filler game or something? Does anybody know why they only played 4 defensemen last night? It was just injuries. That was it. Anyways, they beat the LA. I can't talk about it too much because I did have Tampa in the over on that game. I was good, but 4 defensemen, and you beat a really good LA team. Now, let's face it, LA has not been a pushover so far this year. In fact, especially lately. Tampa Bay is taking things to a whole new level this year, man. I think this team has challenged itself to be to go to another level. They still have some room to add. You got Corey Perry there. To me, we were talking about guys that may be a coach after they play. Corey Perry. Watch for Corey Perry. Every team he goes to becomes better. And I know it's, part of it's because of what he does on the ice, but I mean, he's not that great of a player anymore. Are the Leafs only playing 4 defensemen tonight? What? What are you talking about? Is that true? I'll be taking the Rangers then. Are you serious? I don't see any reason why that would be. It looks like Biega's going to be in. That's not very good. Oh, because Muzzin's out, as you mentioned already. Yeah, I wonder if freaking the Rangers can win that game. Sandin and Liljegren are going to be playing a lot of hockey. I might put a sprinkle on the Rangers on that game. Kosh is out, Hole is out, Muzzin is out. I think maybe the Rangers might be able to win that game. Shake it all about. That's what it's all about. Yeah. You can get away with that for one game, I guess, but man, that is a lot of freaking hockey for 4 defensemen. Like, LA's got to kind of be kicking themselves a little bit there. I don't know how Peterson played. Like I said, I didn't watch the game. Did he drop the ball a little bit there? Because when you got 4 defensemen playing like that, there's going to be times when they are tired on the ice. I mean, it's just going to be. You have no choice. There has to be. And a LA team An LA team with their kind of depth should have been able to expose that. I mean, they sort of did. They got 4 goals, and LA is not really the. And Vasilevsky was in net, so that's to score 4 goals on Vasilevsky. You're doing something already, but their own defense weren't able to stop. Obviously, maybe there was bad goals by Campbell. Or not Campbell, by Peterson, who has been doing much better as of late. His last couple starts were really good, but before that, he wasn't having a great year. So I don't know. I didn't watch that game. Bruins will catch the Leafs. I don't know. Like I said, I still really like the Leafs. I like their energy and flow that they got going on in Toronto. So, but I like Boston's too. I don't know. They could, I suppose. How far back are they on that? I haven't looked at the standings for a while. Standings. How far back are they? 5 points back. I don't think so. Unless the Leafs have some like injuries. If Campbell gets hurt, yeah, maybe. And I don't know what their schedule looks like, who's got the better schedule for the next little while, but they both have played the same amount of games, so I mean, I guess it's possible. Anything's possible, but that's a lot of ground to make up. And Toronto's a really good team, so has been playing extremely well this year. Next, what were we going to talk about next? I'm going to see if we had any new news here yet. Oh, the NHL announces a revised schedule. The NHL is filling up February Olympic break with games that had previously been postponed. New dates have been announced for 98 games. Date changes for 23 more and a handful of start time changes. 95 games were rescheduled into the 16-day window. Teams like the Islanders, Ottawa, who have played in just 32 games so far this season, 9 fewer than other teams. It means a very full February schedule. The Islanders will play 7 games between the 9th and the 22nd. 7 games in 11 nights? 10, no. 9, 19, 12, 7 games in 12 nights. Holy crap. And the Senators will play 10 games in 14 nights. What? That is insane. Oh my gosh. Well, they're not making the playoffs. Tell you right now, the Islanders are not making the playoffs. No way. The Islanders, well, Ottawa already wasn't either, but if you're going to try to play 9 games in 12 or What did that say? Is that right? That can't be right. You gotta be kidding me. That is absolutely insane. From 7th to 7 games, 9, 19, 7 games in 12 nights. Okay, I guess that's not. Seven games in 12 nights. That's a lot. That is a lot. And 9 games in 14 nights. That's by the end of that they're going to be a hurting bunch. That's for sure. Yeah, well, I mean, you got a schedule like that. They'd be lucky if they go, if they get, if they win half those games. Yeah, it does. It looks like the East is pretty much done. The Islanders are going to have to do some miracle stuff, and they have to do it in a time frame where you're playing 7 games in 12 nights. There's got to be 2 back-to-backs in there because you got to fly in between. 7 games. If you played every second night, it'd be 6 games, right? In 12 nights. So you're playing every second night with 1 back-to-back in the middle of it, somewhere around there in the middle of it. Hopefully, for their sake, it's at the end of it, maybe. But I guess the good thing is most of it should be at home because they did that absolutely crazy road trip before that. So, but even still, that's a crap load of games. Now on Ottawa, I'm not sure. Ottawa's not in it anyways. Ottawa makes the playoffs next year? Probably not. I think Ottawa's a ways away yet. They like the owner keeps on telling us they're going to make tell him they want their fan. He wants people to buy the tickets, but their defense still has a long ways to go. Unless Sanderson is like an absolute like stud right away, their defense still has a lot of work. Brandstrom's starting to look like they always want. They more like they wanted him to be. Now he actually looked really good in the game last night that I watched, but Bernard Docker is still probably a good 2 years away from being like a real regular, maybe a year. But they're still a very, very green group, so I can't see them making the playoffs in that division too. I can't see it. I think Detroit has more of a chance. They're going to need Murray to look like he did in his first game back after the minors way more often. They don't have the goaltending. They need a second line center. Pinto was doing really good until Pinto was doing really well until he got injured. So, but no, I don't. I doubt very much that they're a playoff team next year. I mean, I suppose Detroit Red Wings are more likely. It's so hard to tell with Detroit because any one of those guys can jump up and they have so many. They have a lot of players moving up right now, and I look at their prospect pool though, and it doesn't really blow me out of the water. Like I thought there would be more guys that would be like, okay, they're ready to go now. But of course, anybody can surprise. I still think they're at least 2 years away from making it. They get Verana back, that helps. Yeah, they might. It doesn't look like they're going to though. Yeah, I don't think they're going to tank that hard. It's just too hard on the fan base, my gosh. And the players that are in there, like poor Larkin. How long do you got to sit there every season knowing you're not going to make the playoffs? Like, eventually, it's such a tightrope to redo these types of rebuilds because you got these guys that like Larkin and to a lesser extent Bertuzzi, but Larkin especially, and it just got to wear on you over time. It has to. You're just continuously losing every year. Every year, you're watching your career go behind you, behind you, behind you. Like this guy's got the character of. This guy's got Larkin's got some special kind of character to him to be able to stick with this team. I suppose if they become a dynasty, it'll be very rewarding, but man, it's got to be tough on them. But I mean, Detroit certainly looks like they have the pieces to start inching towards a playoff now. Seider looks amazing. Raymond's a sophomore next year. You know how that can be, right? It's different. Everybody knows who Raymond is now. He's not going to have the advantage of like, oh, who's this kid? And he's already got 3 points on you. Everybody's going to know who Raymond is next year. And that's why they say the sophomore slump. There's people paying more attention to you now. You know, you're not gonna surprise it. Raymond's not going to surprise people next year. But I think they still need a second line center. I don't think Fabry is a guy you want to be in your lineup when you're really strong. Same as they got they still got filler guys that they need to not be there anymore. Like they need their replacements to come up and take their spot, which I'm about to go through it now. You don't want Vladimir Nemeshnikov on your top line. You know, Pius Suter is okay. He's not a guy that I really would be looking towards long term either. If I'm like a team, more a guy that I would play on my bottom, you know, in your bottom 6 to add offense. Maybe that's what they're looking for down the road. But they need Michael Rasmussen to become more of an offensive presence, and I don't think he ever will. I think he's more likely going to be a third line or maybe even a fourth line center. Same as Joseph Valeno. They're fine. Philip Hronek and Seider, they're good. Gustav Lindstrom is okay. And then I don't know about the guys coming up, like Theodor Nobluk or Niederbach. A lot of great talk about him, but I mean he's not chewing up the Swedish Elite League yet. He's only 19 years old. Simone Edvardson and William Bollander are the 2 big pieces that could be ready soon. But besides that, I don't really see anybody knocking the door down still in Detroit. They still seem like on the paper I see anyways, and what I know, they still seem like a fair ways away yet to me. Wow, yeah, it's impossible for them to get Bedard and Michkov though. But you can't do that. If he came out and said that, he would be fined like so heavily, it would be ridiculous. Yeah, that would be. It's like Arizona's probably going to get one of Michkov or Bedard next year, and that'll be the start for them. If they didn't screw themselves by getting what possibly could be an absolutely amazing coach in Tierney, that is. Like, they've almost screwed themselves. That team is doing way better than it should on paper. Yeah, so next year is going to be interesting. I think to me, the most interesting team in the league right now is Chicago. I want to know what they're going to do. I am perplexed by what they're going to do. Who would find them? If he came out and said, I'm going to forfeit every game, there would be a lawsuit. You can't do that. I'm sure there is like several legal ramifications for saying that you purposely lose a game. And I know that there's things that are happening that are quite obvious that teams are not worrying about this year so much. But to straight out say we're forfeiting the game, I'm positive there's legal ramifications to that. I'm positive there's legal ramifications to saying something like that. Oh, hey. Oh, no. Not only is there legal ramifications, you're going to lose your team. Canes fans might be, I suppose, but the team you already got is going to be very embarrassed. It would be very embarrassing for sure. It would be very embarrassing. I think Chicago might be the team to do it. I'm. That's the most interesting thing for me. You got Taves and Kane there. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're not. They're not good enough. And so many they're not good enough. They're not getting better with Taves and Kane there either. Both players are going to be on the decline now. Can you possibly convince them to waive their no trades? And then, even then, the problem with Chicago is even if they get Taves and Kane to waive their no trades, they're going to have to go with some goaltending, like just really brutal goaltending. Kind of like what they did when they traded Crawford and they just had Lankinen and, that's what they're going to have to do in Chicago because they actually have a team that can score too much. They got a couple players there that could get them in trouble for, wanting to win games. Keep that coach that they have because he doesn't look like he's doing all that much. Keep him on for another year. Apparently, King is his last name. He's been with the organization for a long time, and it looks like they're just sort of giving him it's a nice little pat on the back. Thanks for being with us a long time. I don't think he's really an NHL level coach, but that's good. You don't really want one. The problem, though, is you still got to develop these guys that you got on the team at the same time. Rebuilding is so difficult. It's such a difficult chore because all the players know you don't want to win, but then you got to tell them they got to go out and try to win at the same time. And you try to balance all that and make sense of how, try to make it so you're not losing the players that you have. Like, what I mean is losing your room. Losing the respect you have for people that are in your room. Like Buffalo looked like Buffalo did when they tanked for Eichel, which was supposed to be for McDavid. Like, yeah. Yeah, maybe. Or just let Holland just let Holland keep on making trades and stuff in Edmonton, and you never know. I mean, who knows? That could do it in itself. You know what, guys, though? I think I'm going to give my voice a break now. I'm starting to fade again. Hopefully, I'll be back stronger tomorrow. But until then, it was great talking to you guys. I'm glad I got on today. I missed this, man. I was getting pissed. Freaking voice. Have a great day, everybody. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow. My voice is fading here, so talk to you later. Okay, bye.